Station. Here we go. And welcome to Author Chat. David Wolf here from Audavita Studios. I'm here with author Ben Fauske. He is the author of Authentic Confidence, The Secret to Loving Your Work and Leading an Unstoppable Career. I don't know where to go. That tagline is just so compelling. Aren't we all trying to do this, Ben? Welcome to the program.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, David, for having me. Yeah, I mean, it's a personal journey for me. I've had first 8 years of my career, I had 8 jobs. I was miserable, 8 jobs in 8 years. And man,
Wow.
when you don't love your work, what doesn't it impact? It impacts your family, impacts your health, impacts everything.
Ben, is the love of the work there's a lot to talk about in the book itself, and I kind of want to do a little bit of a shallow dive in the few minutes we have together on Author Chat. But is the love of the work the fuel?
Yeah, well, I mean, when you think about it, I believe every single person deserves to love their work, and often there's 2 core human instincts that we all have. We want to be valued, and we want to create value. And if we can do those 2 things outside of work and our family and our relationships, it's just a rich experience. Most people are going to spend 75,000 plus hours working. Why wouldn't you do the work to make sure that you're doing something you love?
Right. And I think I recall before we produced, by the way, we produced your audiobook, of course, after the manuscript was ready. And I remember you and I had an informal conversation about your journey. What led to writing the book? You had a journey, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Aside from the 8 careers in 8 years part of it.
Yeah. I had when I was about to quit the eighth position, I had this sort of defining moment. Most people numb out and they just survive their work. And I had a choice to make it, whether I was going to do that or whether I was going to say, you know what, I don't want to live my life like this. I was very depressed, very frustrated. And luckily for those around me, I chose option B. And, to me, so it's been a lifelong journey. And, when you can empathize with people who are struggling with that same journey. So no matter what people are telling me, I'm like, I've been there, I get it. And there is another side. We can get you there. And the cool part about this work is because I realized confidence was at the core. Yeah. And leaders are doing one or 2 things. They're either finding confidence for themselves or they're transferring and coaching it in others. So to me, even if you love your work, this book's going to help teach you how to teach others to love their work. So that's to me what it's been. It doesn't just stop with us, finding our gear, finding our thing. It's like, okay, now help others on their journey. And that's been really fun to see people help with that.
That's cool. Now, the book is structured into 3 phases, so I thought it might be useful for our viewers to kind of have you walk us through that organizational structure and do kind of a dive into each of the 3 phases and how they work.
Yeah, perfect. So go ahead.
Thank you. So I was just going to launch. So the first one is core beliefs, why some love and others hate work. So please toss it to you.
Yeah. So when I was doing my research, I had a family friend that said, hey, Ben, research people who love their work. That's the quickest way to find out what they do. And so I started researching, and I actually stumbled upon recording artists, which were fascinating to me because they also had to resolve, almost all of them had to resolve pretty substantial confidence issues. If you can imagine, Jacob Dylan, his dad being Bob Dylan, actually doesn't help him. It makes it tougher.
Sure. Hard to follow kind of thing.
Yeah, tough to follow that. What does that mean? How do I find my own voice?
Yeah.
But what I found is they all had 2 really primary core beliefs, pride in their work and humility in relationships. The bands that survived, the musicians that thrived, had both of those things working for them. So I studied thousands of recording artists and found these core beliefs. And I thought, okay, this is working for me. When I followed the pattern that they followed, I moved from hating my work to starting to enjoy it. And it makes sense, right? Why do so many performers perform long after their 61st birthday, which happy birthday today, David. That's awesome.
Oh, shucks. Thank you.
So, right. Why do people keep doing that long after they could retire? Why do they do it? Because they love the work.
Absolutely. I couldn't see myself doing anything else since you mentioned 61.
Right? Yeah. You love the work. You want to do it. You want to do it. You're helping people. You're adding value and you're being valued. And it was an amazing audio process for me working with Mark Shipman and the gang. And to me, it's obvious that you all love your work. That's inspiring. That's engaging. That's what we want to be a part of.
It's so beautiful. I know, and I'm experiencing it as an entrepreneur in the small core team that I've got of 5 of us. So thank you for that, for those kudos. And by the way, just as a branch, before we go to phase 2 of the book, what was it like to voice your own book? Share that experience for you. How did it reacquaint you with your own writing? Was the vocal technique? I mean, just touch on all of this if you could.
Well, Mark was fabulous. So he and I hit it off right away, and it took a while for me to find my voice. So listening to yourself the first time is a little unsettling.
Yes.
Like, do I really sound like that? And my wife was like, "Yeah, that's the best version of you right there." Wow. So really finding your voice, how you're telling your story, it actually really helped in my public speaking. In my engagements, because I sort of learned the pace and the rhythm when I listened back to it more, which we don't often do.
Right.
Just moving from one thing to the next. So I really found it helpful to listen back. And then the points that I was really passionate about, really came out in the recording. And that part was fun to hear back, to go, this was transformative for me. And I want to translate that message as clearly as I can to others, because I think this is going to help you find what you love to do.
Well said. And you kind of reinforce the idea that I talk to our authors when they first approach us, should they be the voice or not? There's this process that's baked into the doing of reading your own manuscript and delivering it to a single microphone, to a single ear. So it's fascinating to hear you describe that. I love that.
Well, and I just kept picturing who, Mark gave me great advice. Picture the person you wrote this book for. Imagine them sitting on the other side of the microphone. How would you talk to them? How would you encourage them? How would you? And so there's a specific person that I was writing this book for when I wrote it. And it's actually I have 4 daughters. So a part of it was sort of an older version of them starting in their career and going, what would I want to impart to them and share? And what are some things that I wished I would have known early in my career? So that's what I pictured.
What a great visual, too. We're visiting with Ben Fauske. He's the author of Authentic Confidence. Ben, let's do phase 2 of this process. Take us into there. Self-assessment. Increase your self-awareness, please.
Yeah. So one of the really cool responses we've had to the book is we created 6 confidence profiles. So there's 6 confidence profiles that drive our behavior. There's peacekeeper, friend maker, inquisitor, negotiator, driver, and convincer. So these 6 profiles, so all of us are one of these 6 profiles. And what we found was when other people diagnose our confidence issues, it's not very fun. When we can discover our own and start a conversation, that's where really meaningful discussions started to happen. So there's an assessment that's in the book that people can find out. They can go to my website, benfauske.com, and get this assessment and find out which of those 6 profiles are there. And that really helps communication. And how do I value others? How do I value their perspective? How do I value their profile? Because often in teams, I work a lot with corporate teams. It's the disconnect of it's the communication gap between these different styles. And so that's been really fun to help people measure that and gauge that. So
knowing thyself really helps. That's the awakening moment, if you will. That's my language, not yours.
Exactly. No,
it's interesting.
You got it.
Are we all a blend of these 6, or is one is a true statement, or I mean, do we all have facets of all of them?
Yes. So there's certainly, we can blend in and out.
Okay. Depending
ideally, we have a bias. We have a core bias that we sort of are. That's our DNA. That's what makes us tick. However, being absolutely, when we talk about this, different than some other personality assessments where it sort of puts you in a box or says this is what you are.
Right.
Our assessment is much more fluid. How do you be able to move up and down the continuum based on the situation, still being true to your bias?
Yeah,
being able to flex up and down based on the person.
Oh, that's cool. Well, the bias is sort of this center from which you elastic out.
Exactly right.
The most graceful way to say it.
No,
phase. I was going to move to phase 3. Career building. Discover the pattern of world-class influencers. So
these are the recording artists. So there's a 5-step pattern that recording artists followed that I discovered that they all did. As soon as I found that, I had nothing to lose. So I applied it to my own career. Then I started talking to friends who were like, hey, you love your work now. What's going on? And I shared it with them. Some of them were business owners, and then eventually launched the business that I have now, teaching this essentially full time to people how to lead and coach confidence in others.
So beautiful, the work you're doing. Ben Fauske, the author of Authentic Confidence, The Secret to Loving Your Work and Leading an Unstoppable Career. Now that we've finished the audiobook, I'm going to read the book. See, even though we produce audiobooks, I actually like to sit and read, which is, it's not trending in that direction, but it was great to work with you on the book and on the audio. And Ben, the work you're doing is phenomenal. I'm looking forward to digging into the pages shortly. So thanks for joining us on Author Chat. Again, the website is benfauske.com. It's
Yes.
Just like it's spelled on the screen there.
Yes.
F-A-U-S-K-E.
And if you go to benfauske.com/audio, you can get the audio book, and we're running some specials on that today too. And really couldn't thank David, you and your team. Absolutely amazing. Great to work with. I highly recommend the Audavita team and what they're doing. Absolutely take great care of the authors. And it's the first time I've ever been called the talent before. So that was really fun.
Yeah, I know you're author and talent. I know it's a different thing. It's a little bit further from me. I think you play guitar too, don't you?
I dabble. All
right. Well, you're talent now. Listen, thanks for being with us, Ben. Great to be with you.
Thank you. Take care.